It's very interesting that I am one of those that worked out the concept of operation of the multinational joint task force. And it started as a decision, by the head of states and governments of the Lake Chad Basin Commission members. It was in office from early 2013 up to 2014, but I joined them later, early in 2015, and we started and continued with the diplomatic aspect from the chief of defense staff level to the ministerial level and up to the head of states and governments level. Before May 2015, the efforts were still being worked out despite negotiations or discussions for over a year plus, almost 2 years. But it was with the coming of the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari that the tempo was raised and activities picked up. The federal government had initially pledged $100 million for the takeoff of the multinational joint task force. Up to the time Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari was elected and inaugurated, that funds was not released. So he was the one that first kick-started the diplomatic aspect in terms of real action by funding. And that was how the MNJTF started. And as the commander, we swung into action between July, August to September. No, that was between April, May up to June, and then early July of 2015. And that was a good diplomatic move that brought about this. And right now, as I'm talking, the multinational joint task force countries, we have the Cameroonians operating along our border lines up to Sambisa with Cameroon. Our troops are also collaborating with the Chadian as well as the Nigerian troops. We also have the commander, who is a Nigerian, and they've always been Nigerian commanders, Nigerians who command the MNJTF. Now, as far as diplomatic aspect within the sub-region, especially the Lake Chad Basin Commission, it has made tremendous success. But the frustration is that of an asymmetric warfare. It is a complex operation. It has permeated the societies, both in Nigeria, Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. It is something that started more than 30, 40 years ago. They have penetrated the communities. They have won the communities to their side. That's why you see small hamlets, 1 or 2 people, still you see them hibernating or keeping Boko Haram in those locations. So it's a complex. So it requires a whole of government approach to deal with this. Military activities or military action is just one aspect. And this is one mistake we have been making, that only the military that is seen to solve this thing. Is not. Military cannot solve this action. In the first place, it wasn't the military that started it. There were political, social, economic factors that need to be addressed from the beginning. I don't need to take it back from independence or from the First Republic and so on. Development should be progressive. There should be roads everywhere. There should be employment. There should be hospitals, schools, all over. But I tell you now, yesterday I was counting 5 local governments in Borno State cannot have do not have good access roads to those locations. I'm not indicting anybody. That's the truth. You can't have access. Since independence up to now, where do you get the solution? The same thing in the northwest, Niger State, Zamfara, Niger is north central, where we have this incident now of kidnapping. The same thing in Zamfara, in Katsina and Sokoto. There are so many ungovernable spaces. Until those things are penetrated, those locations are penetrated with road infrastructure, with rail, with amenities, towns, hospitals, schools, and so on, then we carry everybody along. And education is very fundamental, you know. And unless these things are done, you know, we will make, despite the diplomatic efforts, internally we must get it right. And that is the essence of this diplomacy. Foreign policy is a projection of domestic policy. So if you are able to domicile or, you know, curtail these things internally, that's why you project to other countries, and all our neighboring countries will be able, you know, to have a very you know, robust defense as well as foreign policy action that will lead to the eradication of all this insecurity in the region. The next issue, sorry I'm taking long because I'm quite passionate about it, and these are the realities, and the truth must be told, you know, because this thing cannot end. I predicted sometimes that it may take another 20 years, and that is the truth, you know. His Excellency Senator Bikula Amosun did mention that the issue still, I think it's related. You know, insecurity still pervades the nation, and it's still shocking to continue to see things are still getting out of hand, probably. Why, despite all the efforts, finances, you know, equipment, and the rest from all areas. One of my responses is to what I just said, you know, but as far as since 2015, I met an army that is demoralized, an army that had no equipment, even simple troop-carrying vehicle. In Maiduguri, they were using civilian joint task force vehicle to move troops for operation. They were using trailer that carries horses, donkeys, what do you call it, cows, to move troops from one location to the other for operation. But today we have invented our own indigenous vehicles, the Ezgo MRAP, the Konkaro MRAPs, to change the narrative. And if you see, the trend has been that, you know, most of those areas that hitherto been occupied by the Boko Haram terrorists have been taken over by our troops. But how do you sustain it? You need more training, you need more manpower, you need more equipment because of the vastness of the terrain. You require a lot of resources. That is on the military side. But more is required on the political and the governance side as well. So unless these things are done comprehensively, deliberately, with serious intervention, we will still continue, you know, this insecurity can continue to lead us. If you look at this insurgency, as I said, you know, is new to us here. But even those that have been experiencing it, especially Afghanistan, Iraq, and